Welcome to LIVEDAF, your online Daf Yomi Shiur.
Shalom, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Shabbos Daf Tzadik. We are 3 lines from the top of the Amud, and we are resuming our discussion about the minimum required amounts, the minimum shiurim for the melacha v'etzah pertaining to various materials and substances and articles. Continues the Gemara. Klipe egoizim. So the husks of nuts, the skins of egoizim generally is regarded as walnuts. So these substances which we are going to use for dyeing material, for coloring material, klipe egoizim, klipe rimoinim, peels of rimoinim, pomegranate peels, stis. This is a herb used to produce a blue color dye, upua, for red coloring. What is this? What is the minimum requirements? Kedei litzboya beget katan, sufficient to dye a small beged, a small material which is placed on the head covering of the isha. This is sufficient to be regarded. This amount is enough to be regarded as a shir chashav, as significant, since it can perform a function as a tzorich and therefore has a chashivas. Continues the Gemara. Do you need that much? V'ramini, we have a steer from a brisa. The brisa says, "Ha moitzi samanim shruim." So we have a contradiction from the brisa that says if one carries out samanim shruim, these soaked herbs, so the process has already begun. Kedei litzboya ben dugmalir. What is the minimum requirement? What is the minimum volume amount of samanim shruim for chi v'yitzah? Kedei litzboya behen tzugmalir. Enough to dye with them, to color with them. Dugma li'ira, a small piece of material used as a dugma, as a sample to show the customer. Li'ira is another function for the small piece of material to close up the opening of the, Rashi says, the kanesh shalgardi, this tube which contains the threads and has a small opening, so they would close up the opening using this small, very small size material. So apparently, we don't need that much. Even the dyes which are only sufficient to color this small piece of material are sufficient. Says the Gemara, yeah, it depends on the circumstance. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabbi Ravo, Lefi she'ein adam teireach lirshroi samimonim. Now our Mishnah is speaking about herbs that were not yet soaked. The process has not yet begun. In this case, a person will not trouble himself. A person will not bother beginning the process lishrei samimonim, to soak the herbs. Let's boya ben dugma le'ira, in order to use them for that little piece of material for the sample or to close up the tube. It's too small, so insignificant for a person to trouble himself to begin the process of processing these dyes, these herbs. And therefore, unprocessed, unsoaked samimonim require a greater share, a larger volume, larger amount for them to be considered significant, for them to have a use, a function. But samanim which were already shruin, already soaked, in that case, yeah, a person would take a little dye to color that small piece of material, and therefore even a small amount of the soaked dyes are considered to be chashav. Let's take a look at Rashi inside. Rashi here is at the on the second line, beginning with the words dugma le'ira, second line from the top, dugma le'ira. Says Rashi, ma'at semer, small amount of wool, shu kimin dugma, which serves as a sample, shemara hatzaba lebalabayis. So the person who dyes, the craftsman, he shows the balabayis, the customer, kazeh tachpoitzer kazeh, would you like this type or that type? V'hu, and this is identical, the same amount, kedei litin be'ira shalkana, to place in the tube of the in the hole of the kana shalgardi, of the tube of the weaver, shura muat. It's a very small size piece of material. So the Gemara answers, yeah, because there we are speaking about dyes which have already been soaked, and therefore a person will take a bit of dye to soak, to dye a small piece of material, and therefore it's considered to have a function. In our case, lishroi masnisin b'she'ein shruyin. In our Mishnah, we're not speaking about dyes, herbs that have already been steeped, already been soaked. V'habol lishroi, if one comes to begin the process, ein yeshara pachis mikidei beged katan. He will not do so if there is insufficient amount to dye a small beged, and therefore we end up with these 2 different shiurim. So once again, prepared dye is considered significant even when we have only a small amount sufficient to color that small sample. But unprepared dye, then we need a larger amount for a person to trouble himself to begin the process. Only a larger amount is considered to be chashiv to justify his effort. Continues the Gemara Meraglayim, so urine Ketana Meraglayim Ad Ben Mem Yoim. So this explains that what the Gemara means is the Meraglayim, which is from 3 days to 40 days old, are considered to be appropriate for use as a detergent. So this is the type of Meraglayim referred to in our Mishnah. Neser, another cleansing agent. Tana, we learned in a Brisa. Neser Alexandris, from Alexandria. Veloy Neser and Panatrin, from another place. Buris is another cleansing agent. Amar Rav Yehuda Zechol, speaking about a specific type of sand used as a detergent. And just once again, the Mishnah tells us that all these detergents, what is the minimum quantity? To cleanse, to wash that piece of material placed on the woman's head covering. Rav Yehuda gives a different share. So this is the description of these various detergents. Once again, buris, Amar Rav Yehuda Zechol, a specific type of sand, vatanya. But haven't we learned in the Brisa? Ha buris ve'achol. Apparently, these are two separate things. Buris is not chol because the Brisa lists them as separate entities. Ella, my buris kavrisa, it is speaking about sulfur. So buris is sulfur. Meisvei says the Gemara, it can't be sulfur because the Brisa says when it comes to dinei shvis, items which have grown, plants which have grown on the 7th year, and it's true, they have a halacha, it's kedusha shvis, one cannot do business with them, one needs to make them hefker, ownerless. So the Brisa says, hayisifu aleim. So they added to the list of those different materials and plants which the halachas shvis are applicable to. Hayisifu aleim ha-chalvitzin v'aleinun v'ha-buris v'oil. Says the Gemara, buris is contained in this list, in which the halachas of shvius are applied to. Says the Gemara, if that's so, it can't be sulfur. If you suggest kavrisa, that buris is referring to sulfur, kavrisa mi'isa b'shvius, can you suggest that kavrisa, it has halachas of shvius? V'ha-tanya, haven't we learned in the Brisa? Za'aklal, this is the general rule. Kol sheyesh le'ikr, anything that has an ikr, meaning it has a shorish bar, it's rooted in the ground, it grows from the ground. Yesh le'shvius, the halachas of shvius apply to it. V'she'en le'ikr, something that does not have roots in the ground, ein le'shvius, there are no halachas shvius pertaining to it. So if Beiris is kavrisa, is this sulfur, that's not something which is rooted in the ground, doesn't grow from the ground, therefore it does not have halachas shvius. And the Brisa lists buris within those substances, materials, and plants where shvius applies. So you can't say that buris is sulfur. Ella, says the Gemara, my buris ahala, a different type of detergent, which apparently is rooted in the ground. Says the Gemara, but that's also difficult. Vatanya, but haven't we learned the Brisa? Vaburis va'ala. So the Brisa lists them as separate entities. There's buris and then there's Allah, so it can't be one and the same. Says the Gemara, Trei Gavni Allah, there are two species, two types of Allah, and buris is certainly one type of Allah. Continues the Gemara, Kimulya, a different type of detergent, Rav Yehuda Shloif Dutz. Rashi says this is something which is sparish, it's not clear what it is, but this is its name. Ashlag, Amar Shmuel, Shaltinu, L'chol Nechusayam, I've asked all those who descend in who travel the seas, what exactly is the definition, how to describe this ashlag? They told me shun ana shmei, some have a gersa of shalga shmei. So this is what it is, umishtakach, and it is found benukva dimarganis, in the hole of a pearl, umafkile, and they extract it using a special tool baram, so the parzla with a pointed piece of iron. Continues the Mishnah. Pilpeles kolshu. So if one would carry out pilpeles, a specific type of pepper, Rashi says this is not the typical pepper of any pilpa shalanu. It's a specific type of pepper. The Gemara says it's used for dispelling an antidote for bad breath. So even a kolshu, even a minute amount is sufficient for that function, and it has chashivas. V'itron, this is a derivative of pitch. Kolshu, even a small amount. The Gemara will explain. Mine besamim, types of fragrances, mine matches, types of metals. Kolshu, even a minute amount. Mi'avne mizbeach, one has a small chip of the mizbeach, afar mizbeach. earth from the Mizbeach, Mekak Sfarim, decay of scrolls of Mekak Mitbcheseim, or of their coverings, Kolsh, even a small amount. Why? Shematzniin Oisim Lagoinzam, because they're put away. They're not discarded, they're put away in order to be goinez them, to give them a respectable, place them in a respectable resting place. So therefore, they're regarded as chashav, as significant. Even if one would carry out an accessory of a zara, even kolsh, even a small amount, here too it has chashivas. This is a negative association, a negative significance. The Torah says, even a drop, even a small, minute amount of this cherem, of this band thing, this avodah zara, or the misham avodah zara, should not stick to you. You should not have it. You should not have enough from it, and therefore, even a small amount, even mu'uma, is also, and has chashivas, has a negative chashivas, and therefore, according to Yehuda, the fact that the Torah attributes chashivas significance, even a small amount of this, so if one would carry it out, he's chayv. Let's take a look at Rashi inside here, on the Mishnah. Let's start from the beginning of the Mishnah. Rashi says, Pilpeles kolshu, a small amount of pilpeles. Ve'ene pilpel shalom. This is not the typical pilpel. Uba gemara farish, kolshu l'may chazi. What exactly is this useful for? Mine b'samim kolshein, l'reich toiv, to impart a good smell. Mine matchis, types of metal, kolshu, even a minute amount, because it is roi, suitable to be used l'darba cotton, to fashion the tip of a goad, of this rod which was used to drive the animals. So they would place a little piece of metal on the tip. So even a small amount of metal is sufficient for that, and therefore it is chashiv. Okay, mekak svar, says Rashi, achilas tilas. So the mekak svarim is the decay from the bookworms. Oicheles asvarim umirakvan. So the worm would burrow through the svarim, would Eicheles HaSvarim eats them and mirakvan and cause them to fall apart and to decay. So that's the mekak svarim. Ushmai mekak. Rashi says that the tachilas telas, this decay, which was caused by the telas, which is Eicheles HaSvarim mirakvan, ushmai mekak. The name of this decay, of this telas, of this worm, is actually called mekak. The Gemara will give us a whole list of different types of worms. So the bookworm is called mekak, and that's why the Mishnah refers to the decay, which is caused by the bookworm, as mekak sfarim. So here, even a minute amount is considered to be chashav. Why? Shematznin oisin legoinza. Shekol davar kodesh tongniza. Anything which is kodesh needs to be placed at rest in a respectable manner. And therefore, you can't simply throw it away. It has chashivas due to that obligation. So they would place it in a gnisa. Sometimes they would seal it someplace. And in fact, in later years, they would go and discover in those gnizas very valuable manuscripts. And today, the custom is to bury it. So that is the requirement for things that are kodesh, that are no longer useful. Continues the Rashi. The Rabbi Yehuda teaches us a chiddush. Not only when something has positive significance, even when there is negative significance. For instance, the misham avodah zara, the Torah says even a small minute amount cannot be used. Mu'uma alma, apparently achshave krali sur. The Torah regards it as significant, and therefore even a minute amount is sufficient for the chiyuv eitzah. Continues Rashi Vadas Nan. That we learned in the Mishnah, Kol she'ene kosh latzniya. The Mishnah says something which is not suitable for storing. You are not chayiv if you would carry that out. V'ukimna, the Gemara establishes the meaning of that Mishnah to be referring to l'motziat asherah. We come to exclude wood from the asherah tree which was worshipped, and that is not considered to be kosh latzniya, suitable for storing, and therefore you're not chayiv. The Leik Rabbi Yehuda says Rashi that Mishnah which comes to exclude the atzei asherah, that the Mishnah tells us that a small amount of the atzei asher which is carried out is not considered to be significant, not considered to be chashiv, meaning atzei asher in any amount. If one would carry out a piece of asher which is avodah zara on any amount, he's not chayiv because it's not useful. So that Mishnah is not going according to Rabbi Yehuda, who maintains just the opposite, that even a minute amount, even a teeny amount of Atzei Asherah is chashav on account of its Isser, and one is liable for carrying it out. Continues the Gemara. Pilpeles kolshu l'may chazia. So Mishnah tells us that pilpeles kolshu, even a small amount of pilpeles, is sufficient. L'may chazia, what is it suitable for? L'reach hapeh, says the Gemara, is suitable to ward off, as an antidote for offensive odor, offensive bad breath. L'reach hapeh. Itron kolshu, what is a small amount of itron useful for l'may chazia? What is it used for? Litzilchasa, for a certain type of migraine. Mine b'samim kolshein, different types of fragrances, even a small amount. Tanarabban, hamoitzi reich ra kolshu, if one carries out something which imparts a foul odor, even a small amount is sufficient and significant. So Rashi says it's, for instance, something which is used to impart a bad reach, a unpleasant odor to ward off evil spirits. So Rashi says something which they would use to smoke away the evil spirits. Let's take a look at Rashi here. So Rashi here is the beginning of the Gemara. A headache, a pain which affects half the head. So something which is used to, they burn it, and the ensuing smell, bad odor, is used to protect the sick and the tinoikas, the babies, kigon chiltis, some type of material, lahavriach ma'olav mazikin, to ward off from the chaylo or the tinoik, mazikin, evil spirits. Let's go back to the Gemara inside. Again, Tanar Rabbanon, we went to the price. Ha-moitzi reach ra, kolshu, even a small amount which is suitable for the function mentioned in Rashi. Shemen toiv, a pleasant smelling oil. Kolshu, even a small amount, is considered to be chashiv. Argoman, kolshu, a small amount of purple dye. Rashi says it is useful due to its good smell. Upsulas havered achas, even one petal of a psulas havered of a young rose, that is considered to be chashiv. There's actually another pshat here that the psulas havered is speaking about an unopened young rose. Continues the Gemara. Mine matches kolshein, different types of metal, even a minute amount. L'may chazu, what is it suitable for? What are they useful for? Tanya, Rab Shimon also omer shekein roi lasis mimenu darben katan. One can fashion from it a tip for the goat, for the rod used to drive the cattle. Tan Rabbanan, we learned in the Brayso, omer harei barzel. If one commits himself, he accepts upon himself a commitment to donate barzel to the Beis Hamikdash. So how much does he need to give? What is the minimum? Acherim oimrim lo yifchos me'ama al amma. A piece of barzel, a piece of iron, which is an amma by an amma. L'may chazir, what is it suitable for? Amar Rav Yosef l'chal yo'erev, as a crowd chaser. Rashi explains they would take these amma al amma, these pieces of metal, and they would place it on the Beis Hamikdash, on the roof of the Heichal. Place some. Apparently, they used to place some nails on it, and so this sharp plate with the nails on it would chase away the ervim, the crows, and prevent them from sitting on the Heichal. Interesting that Tosfos brings that actually in the Beis Hamikdash Rishon, they didn't really need this kal yo'erev on account of its heightened level of kedusha. So the ervim would not settle on the Beis Hamikdash. He brings that from the Aruch, and Tosfos says actually in the Gemara Moed Katan, it is obvious that they did put the kal yo'erev even on the first Beis Hamikdash. The Gemara there is describing how Shlomo HaMelech included this feature on the first Beis Hamikdash. But there is a Tosfos in Erchen that actually says that initially he built in that feature, but eventually when they saw that the ervim would not come to rest on the Beis Hamikdash, the birds would not come there on account of its kedusha, they eventually removed this kal yo'erev from the Beis Hamikdash. The Gemara tells us even Rabbi Yonis ben Azia, when he learned Torah, it was such a high level of kedusha. The environment was so charged with his Torah that even a bird which flew over him, it burnt up midair. So in any case, this was the Kal Ya'ir described in our Gemara, which is the function which the Amal can be used for. Says the Gemara, B'ikad Amri, some say Acherim Ayrim. So Acherim again is actually Rav Meir, right? So Rav Meir says, what is the minimum requirement for the barzel to be donated? Lo yifchais mikal ya'irif. The minimum is the plate needed for this crowd chaser. V'kalya v'kama, and what size is that? Rav Yosef ama al ama. So it's a plate which is an ama by ama. Continues the Gemara, nechoshes. If one donates copper for the Beis Hamikdash, lo yifchais mimal kesef. The minimum should be the amount of a ma'ah kesef, this small coin, the small copper coin. So Rashi says it means you should donate copper which has the value of a ma'ah kesef. So it seems like the small kesef was actually not copper, but it was actually silver, ma'ah kesef, but the copper should have at least that value. Tanya Blezer Omer liifchos mitzinor ktana shel nechoshes. So if one donates copper without expressing the amount, so the minimum should be a small fork, a small copper fork. What is that suitable for? What function could that serve? They would use it to trim the wicks and to clean out the lamps in the Beis Hamikdash. Continues the Gemara. So the Mishnah told us mekak sfarim or mekak mitpachas. So this decay of either the scrolls or the coverings of the scrolls. So even a small amount is considered to be chashiv due to the fact that one needs to be goynes them to put them in a respectable resting place. Amar Vida, mekak de sifri. So Vida will give us a description. Will actually give us a list of names of the various types of worms found in different things. So mekak de sifri, this worm called mekak, which is found in scrolls, techach de shiroi, this worm found in silk called techach, the ila de invi, so the worm called ila, which is found in grapes, ufe de te'eni, fe, which is found in figs, vehei de rimoini, this worm called hay, which is found in the pomegranates, kulu sakanta, they're all dangerous for one who swallows them. Says the Gemara, who Talmida? There was this student, this Talmud Av Yosef. Kamed Rav Yochanan, he was sitting in front of Rav Yochanan. He was eating figs. Amalei, Rebbe. So he turned to Rav Yochanan and said, Rebbe, koitzin yesh b'teinim. I feel thorns in my figs. Amar lei. So Rav Yochanan responded. He said, katlei peh l'dein. Peh. This is the worm found inside the figs. Killed this Talmud. Continues the Mishnah. If one carries out this peddler's box, so this box contained many forms of besamim, of fragrances. So although it was just one box, but inside this box there were little containers with the various forms of besamim. So even though in this box there are many varieties, there are many containers, if one should carry out this box containing all these things, he's only chayiv one chatas, because it is regarded as one masa itzah, one act of carrying. Continues the Mishnah. Zeroi negina. So if one carries out zeroi negina, these are garden seeds, which can actually be eaten, they're edible. So they have a dual function. They're edible and can be used for planting. So what is the shear? Pachos mikrogeris. Less than the volume of a fig. So although when it comes to oichlin, edible items, the shear is mikrogeris. These are different. We're more stringent here because they have a dual function, dual purpose, a dual use. They can be used for zriya, for planting as well. Therefore, even less than a gergeris are considered to be choshev, and he is chayiv. Now, what shear is required? The Mishnah will elaborate. First, let's take a look at the Rashi inside. So Rashi here on the Mishnah, beginning 7 lines from the bottom, begins with the words roichlin. Moicher b'samim l'kishutei nashim, the fragrance peddlers. V'yeshlem kupas ketanis litzreiris b'samim. So in this basket, in this kupas arechem, are contained kupas ketanis, small containers, litzreiris b'samim, for the bundles of the various types of b'samim. Someone carries out this entire box in a chayv chatas achas the kula chada haitzahi. Rashi says the whole ma'isa hitzah is regarded as one hitzah, irrelevant of how many sub-containers are contained therein. The Mishnah told us ziroi negina is pachetz mikrogeres, says Rashi. The afagav, although we know the cholo eichlin. When we speak about edible materials, shiur and kirgegeres, all foodstuffs, human foodstuffs, the shiur is kirgegeres. Says Rashi, this is different. Hani, these kivan de lezriya kaimi, since they're destined for planting, bepachetz mikrogeres nam mechayiv, even less than kirgeres is sufficient for chiv hitzah. So how much? Explains the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda ben Seira mechamisha, 5 seeds. However, there are some types of seeds which are considered to be more significant, and even less than 5 are sufficient for it. So, for instance, zera, kishun, shtaim, cucumber seeds, even 2 are chashiv, and he is chayiv even for 2. Zera diluyim shtaim, 2 gourd seeds, for instance, melons, pumpkins, they are chashiv, and therefore even 2 are sufficient. Zera pula mitzri shaim. Okay, continues the Mishnah. Chagav chai. What about a live locust grasshopper? Toir, a kosher species. Kosher, even a small sized chagav is sufficient for itzah. Rashi explains because it is reserved for a katan l'sachik boy, is reserved as a playful item for the katan. Therefore, even a small amount is sufficient. Mace, however, a chagav chai, a chagav toir which has already died, kugageris, in that case, is no longer suitable as a toy, and is regarded as a food like any other, and the shear is kugageris. The amount equal to a fig. Tipiris krumim. This is a certain type of grasshopper. Tipiris krumim. The Gemara says it's used for a refuah. So the shear over there is bein chayav b'meisa, whether alive or dead, koshu, even a small amount. Why? Shematzlina is refuah. So this tipiris, this locust, regardless of the locust size, if it's a large locust or a small locust, either way, it is sufficient because it is reserved and set aside, stored for refuah. Rabbi Yehuda Afamoitzi chagav chai tamei koshu. Rabbi Yehuda says that in contrast to the Tanakama, who tells us that a chagav chai is sufficient even if it's a small locust. Rabbi Yehuda says even a chagav chai tamei, even a non-kosher one, not only a tar one, even a non-kosher one, kosher, even a small amount, is sufficient. Because it is reserved for a katan, for a child to play with it. I think we'll explain exactly what is the point of contention between the Tanakh, who tells us that only a kosher one, or Yehuda adds even a non-kosher one. Continues the Gemara. So we have the shear of the zera negina, the less than a gergeres, 5, 2. Says the Gemara, 1 is not enough. There are many. We have a steer from our brisa. We have a contradiction. The brisa says zevel v'chiladak. What is the shear for zevel, which is animal waste used for fertilization? V'chiladak, fine sand, kedei letzabel klashel kruf, a sufficient volume that can be used to be mezabel, to fertilize even one plant, even one stalk of a kruv, of a cabbage. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. You don't need that much. Even sufficient to use for a creation for a leek. So apparently even one plant has chashivas, has significance. So why in our Mishnah do we need more seeds, more than one? Even one seed that has the ability to grow one plant should be considered sufficient and chashiv. Says the Gemara, we're going to apply the same principle, the same concept that we applied earlier when it came to the herbs used for coloring for dyes. Amra Papa, it depends on the circumstance. Hadazriya, the brisa which says a single plant, is speaking about a seed which was already planted. So it's a growing plant. Certainly, a person will tend even to a single plant. Hadaloizariya, our Mishnah is speaking about unplanted seeds. A person will not trouble himself, will not burden himself, to merely carry out one seed for planting. He won't get himself involved in the planting process. If he only has one seed available for planting, Therefore, a single seed, an unplanted seed, at this point has yet no chashivas, no significance, and therefore, only if it has more than that, 2 or 5, as mentioned in the Mishnah, is considered to be something which has a function, has a purpose, has a tzorech, and is chashav. Continues the Gemara, Zera Kishuin. So the cucumber seeds, Tanarban, Hamaitzi Gar'inin. If one carries out Gar'inim, Rashi says these are Gar'inei Tmara, date pits. It depends what the function, what the purpose, what they used it for in that locale, in that place. If it was destined for planting, then shtayim, then 2 is sufficient. Imla achila, if in that locale they would use these things for animal feed, kimloi pi chazir, and the shear is what fills the mouthful of a chazir, of a pig. How much is that? Maloi pi chazir. What is that? Achas, even a single pit, is considered to be sufficient and has chashivas. Continues the Gemara, im le'ahasik, if in that locale they would use these pits for fuel, then we need a sufficient amount to cook up the chicken egg, as we mentioned. Now, Mishnah, it's the easiest egg to cook up. Im lecheshbon, if the intended purpose is for cheshbon, to use for tallying, so they would count their coins, and for every set, for every 5 or for every 10, they would use a memory aid. They would set aside a pit, and this way they would know where they were holding. So then, in that case, shtayim, then 2 is considered to be the appropriate amount to be used as a memory aid. Acher ma'imrim, chamesh, 5. So Rashi explains because up until 5 sets, he still remembers clearly. He doesn't need a memory aid. Once he gets to 5 sets, he tends to begin to forget, and therefore he needs to place a simon. He needs to have a memory aid, and he puts down 5 pits to remember that he's about to that he completed his 5th set of his count. Continues the Gemara, Hamaiti shnei nimen. If one should carry out 2 hair, miznava sus, from a tail of a horse, umiznava para, from a cow tail, chayav, he is chayav. Why? Shematzni and oisan lenishmin. They store it, they reserve it to be used to fashion nishbin. These are bird nets. Mikshel shel chazir, bristles of a chazir. Achas, even 1 is sufficient. Rashi says they use it for sewing of leather. Tsurei dekel, these are palm branches. Shtayim, 2, which are suitable to begin the process of braiding a basket. Turei dekel, vines of a palm. So this is the vines which grows around the dekel, the palm. Achas, even 1 is sufficient and considered to be a shir chashav for Shabbos. Continues the Gemara, Tzipiris kramim. So this creature, ben chaye, ben meser kolshu, whether alive or dead, even if this creature is only a small-sized creature, that is sufficient. My tzipiris kramim, what exactly is this? Amarav, palya, vi'ari. Rashi says, kach shmoy, this is its name. Rashi elsewhere actually says that it's a certain type of min arbe, a certain type of locust. Omar Abaye, where can this creature be found? Mishtakach, bedikla the chadnav ara. It is found bedikla in the palm, the chadnav ara that only has a young palm tree which only has a single vine which grew around it. Says the Gemara, what is this used for? Va'avdila lechuchma. So one uses it to enhance his intellectual abilities, to add chachma, says liftayach alev, to open his heart. So how would they implement this remedy? Says the Gemara, achale lepalga diminei. So he would eat the right side of this creature, upalga de smale, and the left side, the remaining portion of this locust, ramila, he would place it beguvsa de nechasha, in a copper tube, v'chasam la beshitin ugushpanki, and he would seal the tube with 60 seals. Rashi says 60 is lavdafka. Not exactly 60, means many seals, one on top of the other. For instance, pitch and then wax, etc. So he would properly seal this tube. And what's he going to do with the tube? V'talila, he would tie it up be'ivra, the smaller. He would tie the tube, let it hang. He would tie it on his to his left arm. V'simanech, and what is a good simon to remember this process? Leiv chacham liminai. There's a pasuk in Koheles which says that the heart of a chacham, of a wise man, he directs him to his right, to be virtuous, to do the right thing. V'leiv ksil, however, the heart of a fool, he leads him astray, l'smoila, to the left, to do things which are not appropriate, not suitable. So this is a good simon here to remember that this ksil, this person who's at this point he's foolish. He needs to improve his chachma. He's going to take this tube and tie it l'smoiloi on his left arm to enhance his intellectual capacity. The Sfarim actually say that a person has two cavities in his heart, so two chambers, and the Yetzer Tov rests in the right chamber, the Yetzer Tov on the left side. So this is referred to in this pasuk of Leiv Chacham Liyiminai, to his right, and Leiv Ksil L'Smoilai. Okay, so after he ties the tube to his left arm, the Chacham Kamadeboy, so he acquires as much knowledge as he could, as he's able to. V'Gomar Kamadeboy, he learns as much as he could. V'Achilei Lidach Palga, and afterwards, when he gets really smart, he eats up the other half, the remaining half, the loy, because if he won't complete the process properly, me'akir talmudoi, his learning, his chachma that he learned during this process will be lost from him. Continues the Gemara, even if one should carry out a chagav chai, a live locust, tameh, a non-kosher species, that is also considered to be significant for the chiv ha'otzah, because this too is reserved for the katan, for the child to play with. And this is in contrast with the Tanna Kama, who maintains that only a kosher variety is meant for this purpose. The Tanna Kama holds lie, that a non-kosher locust does not fall into this category. My time, why? Because it's concerned that perhaps the katan will eat it, will consume it. As Rashi points out, one may not serve something non-kosher to a katan. Says the Gemara, if that's the concern of Yachi, Torah Nami, even a kosher chagav also entails this type of concern. Why? Rav Kahana, we see from the following story. Rav Kahana was in front of Rav. Aver, he was passing Shushiva Apume, he was passing a grasshopper, a live grasshopper, over his mouth. Omar Lei, so Rav told him, Shakle, remove it from your mouth. So that the observers won't think, he's eating a live grasshopper. He's transgressing the Isser of Baltashaksu. One is not meant to repulse himself. It's something repulsive. Apparently, says the Gemara, eating a live grasshopper, too, is not appropriate and is asr. So why is no concern with handing the live chagav to the child? Why are we not concerned that he's going to eat it? Says the Gemara, Ella, rather, there's no concern that he's going to eat the live grasshopper. Rather, the concern that the Tanna Kama has with handing him a non-kosher grasshopper is, Duma mayis v'achale. Perhaps once it dies, at that point he might eat it. Therefore, we cannot give him a chagav, even a chagav chai, if it is tummy. Says Rav Yehuda responds and says, no, there's no concern of giving him a chagav chai, even if it's tamei, even if it's non-kosher, because if it should die, he won't eat it. Katan mispit sapale, the katan eulogizes it. He's sad, he announces its death, and therefore he doesn't go ahead. It's not his custom to go ahead and eat this thing that died on him, and therefore there's no concern whatsoever with handing him even a chagav chai, which is a non-kosher. So in summary, Tanna Kama says a chagav chai, which is tar, is suitable for the katan, and therefore the shear over there is even a kosher. Rabbi Yehuda says even if it's a non-kosher species, there too it is given to a katan, and therefore the shear over there as well is a kosher. Hadron Allah Amar Bekiva. Continues the Mishnah. Hamatzniya, if one stores, one sets aside, reserves something lezera to be used for planting, for seeding, uledugma to be used as a sample, ulerfua for a remedy. So he has a specific intention, a specific purpose why he is setting this thing aside. To plant, to show his customer, to use as a medicine, v'oitzia b'Shabbos. And then he goes and he carries this object out to Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos. Chayiv b'koshu. He's liable, he's chayiv, even if it's a very small quantity, a small amount. Because since he attributed chashiva significance even to this small amount, he wants to use it for a specific purpose. Zera, dugma, refuah. Therefore, this object, this item, attains chashivas, and even if it's less than the standard, than the typical shear, which was applied to everybody else, to the typical person, he will be chayiv because it is chashiv for him. But that's restricted, that's specific to him. V'chol adam. But if another person should carry out this item, ein chayiv olav elo k'shiuroi. He's only chayiv if it has the proper, the prescribed amount. Now, let's say this person carries it out. So he has this one seed, this specific, this small amount which he intends on using for zera, for dugma, for refuah, and he carries it out to the rabbin. But then he has a change of heart. He decides, you know what, I'm not going to plant this seed any longer. He takes it back inside. In this case, the status changes right there. So although when he carried it out, this small quantity had chashivas, but once he changes plans, he has a change of heart. He no longer intends on using it for that purpose. So for the ma'isa hachnasa, for the bringing it back into Shus HaYachid, he needs the standard shear, which is applied to all. He is not unique. He's not special in any way, and therefore the chiyuv will only be if there is a prescribed amount, the shear, which is standard to all people. Let's take a look at Rashi inside. Beginning from the Mishnah here. Hamatzniya b'cholshu, says Rashi. Why is he chayiv even a kolshu to achshave? Because he attributed chashivas to this minute amount. It's interesting that this concept of chashivas is unique to. It seems unique to the melacha of Shabbos. We don't find, for instance, if one takes a small piece of a forbidden food of an avela, let's say half a kazayas, and he gives it chashiv, he says, you know what, this for me is very important, very chashiv. I'm going to use it as a dugma or a refuah, whatever. We don't say that minat Torah is regarded as the same status as a kazayas, as a full shear. So why when it comes to Shabbos, we apply this formula, we have this concept of chashivas, even for a smaller amount. Says the Tzitzaras Chaim, which was Rav Nachum Zemba, he says like this. He says a beautiful distinction. He says that when it comes to other Isurim, less than the prescribed shear is not considered to be an act of an Isser, of a Maisi Isser. So, regardless of his chashivas, of his significance towards this small volume, a small quantity, it's irrelevant. It doesn't change its status. It is not considered to be a Maisi Isser. However, when it comes to Shabbos, what is the basis of the Shiurim? It's because the Torah says meleches machsheves. It needs to be a melacha of machsheves, something which is has chashiv, something which is a person is machshev. He thinks about, he regards it as davar chashiv. It is important, has value in his eyes. So certainly the rule of thumb here is chashivas. That's the benchmark. That's the criterion that determines whether it's considered to be a melacha on Shabbos. So not only those standard quantities, the standard shiurim are considered to be chashiv, but if a specific person, he regards even a smaller shear as something chashiv, that is also included in the status of meleches machsheves, and he will be chayiv. So once again, Amatzniya b'cholshu, says Rashi, do achshaveh, because for him that's chashiv. Ela kashiur, but an ordinary person, he's only chayiv if it has the proper amount. B'chol echad shir mefurish loy. B'zeru'oin and chamisha. So when we had the shir mentioned in the earlier Mishnah, b'chol echad shir mefurish loy b'zeru'oin and chamisha. So for ordinary seeds we need 5. Zera kishu oy poila mitzri shnayim. When it comes to those types of seeds, then 2 is sufficient. Ubishar dvarim. When it comes to other things, could go in yayin, wine, or eichel, and various foods, again, mikashir, mafurish, b'klal god v'amoitzi. So we follow the shiurim which are listed for us in the Prakim, Chagadol, and Hamoitzi. Chazer v'chnisei, says Rashi, Zeh she'etzniya, this individual, this fellow, who stored pachos mikasher in a small amount, v'hoitzi, and he carried it out. Im chazer v'nimlach, shaloi k'etzio, so chazer means that he changed his mind. V'nimlach, and he decided, shaloi l'zaroi, he decided that he's not going to plant it any longer, v'chnisei, and he carried it back inside. Ein chayev, says Rashi, b'achnasa zu. When it comes to this return, this achnasa, he won't be chayiv elohim ken yesh bo, unless it contains a shiur shalom, a full shiur. Why? The kibbutz the nimlach olav, since he changed his mind, shaloi lazari, he decided not to plant it any longer. Bitel machshavti, he annulled his original intention, v'harikachal adam, and therefore he is considered like anybody else and needs a shiur, a proper shiur, to be chayiv on the achnasa of this material. Says the Gemara, lo mam leila misna hamasniya. Why does the Mishnah begin with the word hamasniya? He stored it. Listen, the Mishnah should simply begin by saying, if one carries out even a small amount, lezera, ledugma, l'rfuah, to plant, use as a sample, or for medicine, chay v'koshu, he's chay even on a small amount. Why does the Mishnah imply that he first needs to store it, to hide it for that purpose? Why is that necessary? What if a person merely sees a seed on his kitchen table, he walks over to it, picks it up, decides to go plant it outside? That is sufficient. He doesn't need to initially store it and set it aside. Omar Abaye, you're right. It's not really necessary. The Mishnah here is teaching us a chiddush. We're speaking of the following case. Kegoin, for instance, what if a person wasn't holding at the point of going out to plant? So he takes a seed and stores it, places it aside for the future planting. But then, when he comes to taking it out, he carries it out, having forgotten why he had placed it aside. His original intention had been forgotten from him. He forgot his original plan, why he had stored this item for, what the intended purpose was. Now he's merely carrying out without any specific machshava, without any specific intention. Perhaps I would think, since he forgot about his original plan, bituli batla machshavte, so his original machshava becomes batal. Kamash Malo, no, the Mishnah tells us, no. Whenever one does something, it is based on his original intention. And therefore, since originally he had intended on using this very small, minute item, this single seed, he had placed it aside with the intended purpose of planting it, he attributed significance to it, he granted chashivas to it. So even though presently, when he's carrying it out, he totally forgot about his original intention, original plan, he's merely taking it out stomach without any specific intention. Nevertheless, this item has already been granted chashivas, it had attained significance, and the maisa now is based on the original maisa. Is considered to be a continuous process, and it has chashivas even when it only has a small share, small amount, and therefore he is chayiv. So unless he explicitly annuls his initial plan, like we had in the Mishnah of Chazar, he changed his mind. But unless he explicitly does that, the status won't change. So even if he totally forgot his plans while carrying out the seed, he will be chayav because it is based on his original intention, which was to plant the seed, and he gave chashivas to even this one single seed. Interesting that the Mishnah Berurah brings in the name of Pri Megadim, he applies this concept to another halacha as well. For instance, a person is tying his tzitzis. He needs to do a l'shemus of tzitzis. So he begins the process on Sunday, and then leaves off in the middle, resumes Monday, resumes Tuesday. And he doesn't explicitly say or think that he's doing it l'shem a mitzvah tzitzis for the sake of mitzvah tzitzis. Says the Pri Megadim, we will apply this concept that kol ha'oiseh, Aladas Rishona Oisa, we consider it to be one continuous process. Since he initiated the tying of the strings on his veget for the purpose of tzitzis, so as long as he doesn't annul that intention, he doesn't explicitly change his mind and terminate that process, he resumes Monday or Tuesday, we regard it as a continuous process, and it is considered to be done as though he's doing it l'shem mitzvah, and is considered to be kosher. Let's take a look at Rashi up on top. Rashi begins with the words Ma'odatem. Ma'odatem, perhaps I would think, even the shachach b'shas eitzah, since he forgot while taking it out, shlo yehu zacher b'asnasa, he forgot why he had stored it. batal machshavti, perhaps I would think that the machshava becomes batal, ve'enkan, and therefore we no longer have loy chashivas machshavas hatzno. We don't have the machshava, the chashivas, the significance as a result of the intention of the storing, because he forgot about it. Ve'loy machshavas yitzah. We don't have a specific machshava during the actual carrying out, because he forgot about his intention, he forgot his plan, and right now at this point certainly he's not carrying it out to plant. Kamash Malan, the Mishnah informs us, the Mishnah by telling us, Hamatzniya lezer dugma, by beginning with the word Hamatzniya, Mishnah is telling us, going to include even in this case, he had stored it for a specific purpose, for a specific function, but then eventually he carried it out having forgotten his original plan. Kamash Malan, back to Rashi, the Chala Stam, if one does Stam without any Kavanah, Al Das Rishona Oiseh, it is considered to be connected to his original intention. Ubechashivuse kama koi. So this item still retains its original status, original chashivas, and its initial significance. Okay, time for a brief review of today's daf. The daf discussed many materials and substances and items, and the shiurim that are applied to these respective materials. And the underlying principle here is chashivas, significance. If this amount, this volume, is considered to be sufficient for the performance of a certain task, fulfillment of a specific function of a tzorich, it has chashivas. And pertaining to Shabbos, he will be liable upon carrying out that specific amount. And the Gemara told us that the Gemara actually twice applied a principle to differentiate, to distinguish between something which is already ready-made, something which is already processed. In that case, even a smaller shear is sufficient. For instance, this single plant of kruv, of cabbage, which is already planted in the ground, the person will tend to even to a single plant, as opposed to getting himself involved in planting unplanted seeds. In that case, a larger amount is required to justify his trouble. The same concept the Gemara applied to herbs used for dyeing process, for coloring materials, that if the dye is ready-made, then even a smaller amount is considered to be chashav and significant, since the person will use even a small amount to dye a small piece of material. However, when it comes to initiating the process, a person will not burden himself unless he has a larger amount. We had a Mishnah which tells us an interesting point, that when it comes to gniza, something which was required to be placed in a respectable resting place, for instance, the decay of svarim, etc., even a small amount is chashav. And on the flip side, Rav Yehuda is machadish to us that a small amount of misham sheva dezara, since even a small amount is chashav, that also has chashivas. Tanakama apparently disagrees with that. He holds that this concept of chashivas for even a small amount only applies to the positive realm, but not on the flip side, not to something which has a negative nature, characteristic like the misham sheva dezara. So we won't apply the concept of kosher to that. The more discussed the concept of baltashaksu, for the live, eating this live grasshopper. And finally, the Mishnah, the Gemara told us that there are shiurim which are standard to all, but there are exceptions. So if one, for instance, actually carries out even a small amount of a material which he tends to use for a specific function, so he carries out even one seed on his way to planting it, or a small amount of material to be used as a dugma, as a sample, or for a refuah, so he regards this small volume, a small quantity, as choshev and he's chayiv. Now, if one should store something away for an intended purpose, so even a small amount, a kosher, is considered to be choshev. And the Gemara concluded that regardless of his kavanah during the actual eitzah, it's irrelevant whether he remembers why he had stored it, or he totally forgot his initial plan, is considered to be choshev. This small, minute amount is choshev on account of his earlier designation when he stored it for this specific purpose, and he granted chashivas and significance, and therefore it is choshev when it comes to him being mighty on Shabbos.